All right, here you go, Jackie.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Allison. So I don't know when I share my screen, if you can still see my face, but we'll figure it out when it gets closer. This is my first nutrition workshop with Ann's Place. As Allison said, that I work at Northern Westchester Hospital, and I'm the oncology dietitian. I know we got a few questions that came through before the workshop, and I read through them. Some of them are already going to be answered with the material that I'm going to review. But if there's anything that you guys think of as I'm talking, just put it in the chat, and then we might actually go through the questions as they're happening versus at the end, depending on timing. So let's see if I can share my screen. Okay. Can anyone nod their head if they can still see my face? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Andy. Okay. So though you might not feel like eating, it's important to do what you can to maintain your calorie, protein, and fluid intake during cancer treatment. Use this information to help plan meals and snacks that will be more appealing and provide the nutrition you need to get better. Please keep in mind that in some cases, such as advanced cancer, eating may not affect the outcome of your illness or treatment. In these situations, trying to follow a specific dietary guideline, such as adhering to a low sodium or low fat diet, might not be practical. I tend to tell patients there's a new normal when they are in treatment. For now, the focus is not on fruits and vegetables because they are low in calories and can fill you up quickly. Instead, we emphasize on foods that are calorically dense and protein rich, which we're going to talk about further. And that was actually one of the questions that I got. A lot of patients will tell me, oh my goodness, I have like one little piece of broccoli at dinner time and I can't fathom eating more than that. That's okay. And we're going to talk about other things that you can eat today that would be more calorically dense and give you some of the nutrients that you need. So you don't feel bad if you're not interested in some of the foods that you used to love that are also good for you. So on the agenda today, we're going to talk about mealtime, snack time, anytime, increasing calories, increasing protein, importance of fluids. And so far, does anyone have any questions? I talk fast, so you can slow me down at any moment. Slow down, there you go. Okay, so mealtime. So eat small amounts more frequently. If you feel full after eating only a small amount, try eating small meals throughout the day. I'm sure most of you have heard that before, like more of 4 to 5 small meals a day. And most patients, I find it easier to do this several times each day rather than 3 large meals. One of the questions we also got was sometimes caregivers push on you finishing your plate, and that can be very overwhelming when you have your normal amount of, I don't know, chicken, rice, and broccoli. It can be too much, even just looking at it. So sometimes making it a smaller amount, and if you're still hungry, having seconds is better. Don't feel overwhelmed, I guess. That's my biggest takeaway from that. Scheduling meal times. If you never seem to feel hungry, which is very often with a lot of my patients, it's helpful to eat according to a schedule rather than relying on your appetite. If I find a lot of my patients who do not feel hungry tend to go the whole day until they realize they haven't eaten anything at all. This, for me, happens a lot with my patients when they're going to all those doctor's appointments and treatments. It's like you were sitting there getting infusion and you were there for 5 hours and you never ate anything and there was nothing in the car on the way home, and you're so tired, you're just going to go to sleep after. So trying to make sure you have a schedule and almost like a little bit of a plan ahead of time, I find it better so that to make sure that you know, okay, well, I have my yogurt. I don't have to worry too much if this is going through my lunchtime, if there's a doctor's appointment. Eat more when you're hungry. So take advantage of the times when you feel your best to eat more. Many people have their best appetite in the morning when they're rested. Another tip is to eat the most during your infusion days, as typically you feel better the day of infusion versus days after. Now, this depends on each patient, but I do find because you're getting steroids, there's so many other things going on, you do tend to feel the best eating wise the day of infusion. Now, you might feel fatigued and tired, and that's different, obviously, but I always tell patients that to make sure they have a good meal when they are coming home and to eat as much as they can, or whatever they're in the mood for, I should say. because the next few days you might not feel the best to eat those favorite foods. Limit fluids during meals. Liquids can fill you up and limit your intake of high calorie foods. It may help to drink most of your liquids at least half an hour before or after meals. And we'll focus a little bit on fluids later in the presentation. I believe one of the questions that came through was about nutritional supplements. Does anyone have any questions about that before I move on a little bit?
And if you have a question, you can always put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask it. That's perfectly fine.
We are going to talk a little bit about it further, but I just didn't know if there was someone that had a specific question about that. Go ahead.
About nutrients, vitamins are you talking about?
I'm just referring to fluids. I know a lot of people tend to go towards Ensure and Boost if they're not feeling well. And some people ask me, does that count towards their fluids? It actually does, especially if you're not eating a lot. That will count towards the hydration that you need, as well as it would be like a meal.
Yeah, that's what I lived on. The first round of treatments I went through. That was my savior. It's the only thing I could, that and chicken broth. But no, that's it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Like I said, we'll talk more about the nutritional supplements later. But the one thing that I will emphasize is I always believe in food comes first. So if you can eat, I want you to eat whatever food you're really craving. But if you can't really eat anything or you can't look at other foods, that's what the Ensure and the Boost is for. You don't have to feel obligated to drink it just because you've lost a little bit of weight. I'd rather you eat the soup that you love, or even the pizza for, whatever you're craving. I'd rather you have that. So make meals more appealing. Select foods with a variety of color and textures to make your meals more appealing. Also, if you are having an aversion to certain foods, just avoid them. Try to stick with the foods that you know appeal to you. So this also goes back to not focusing on specific fruits or vegetables you're not interested in anymore. If you can't look at broccoli, then be done with broccoli and have a smoothie that has spinach in it, and there you can have a little bit of greens, and you don't have to chew and eat the greens, but just drink it with your fruit or the milk, whatever it might be. Avoid smells that make you sick. So pay attention to smells, as certain scents may decrease your appetite or bring on nausea. Avoid smells that have this effect on you. I typically tell patients if smell is an issue for them, try not to be near the kitchen when someone else is cooking to prevent getting nauseous. I have a lot of patients that will say, my significant other was making the meal. I was near the kitchen talking to them after, a long day of work. And by the time dinner was done, I couldn't even look at it. It was just so appalling to me. I tell people then go upstairs, maybe lay down, or you can even put away the laundry, whatever it is, not directly where the food is being cooked, especially like fish, those meat smells. I find that people tend to have a lot of aversions to. Snack time. So keep snacks handy. Have snacks readily available so that you can eat when you are up for it. Some ideas might be cheese, ice cream, canned fruit. I say in heavy syrup if you're trying to gain weight. Obviously, if you were not trying to gain weight, I would want you to have the canned fruit that's in its own juices. You could do dried fruit, nuts, peanut butter with crackers, cheese and crackers, muffins, cottage cheese, chocolate milk. Those are high calorie snacks requiring little to no preparation. Don't be too concerned that some of these options are high in cholesterol or fat. Once you regain your appetite, you can focus on the lower calorie snacking options. The other thing to think about is a bedtime snack. Bedtime may be a good time to snack because your appetite for the next meal won't be affected. I do have a lot of patients who don't eat a ton during the day, and then before they're going to bed, they find themselves hungry. I tell them to have something small like cheese and crackers, or crackers with peanut butter, or you could even sip on a Boost if you wanted to. But sometimes the Boost can be too heavy before going to sleep and it might repeat on you. Do whatever is best for you, but I definitely think that if you're losing weight and you're not eating your normal amount, having a bedtime snack is not a bad idea. And then anytime food. So this is where it comes to if you're having symptoms where you might have to do a trial and error. Trying cold foods. Foods that are cold or at room temperature may be more appealing, particularly if strong smells bother you. So cold sandwiches or main dish salads, such as pasta salad, tuna, chicken, egg, those are all good choices. Going off of that, when I was an inpatient dietitian, the one thing that they would do on the oncology floor is they would take the lid of the food off before entering the room, because sometimes that was just so much at once, and then it would let the food get more to room temperature and let the heat out. So it would be more appealing, and also tasting wise, it might be better. Experiment with foods. Once favorite foods may no longer appeal to you, while foods you were never fond of might become appealing. So you might just have to say, it is what it is. Like I said, broccoli, not so appealing. I had one person mention that they're craving carbs. That happens a lot. I have one patient actually who told me she ate bagels 3 times a day during chemo. And she's like, I ended up gaining all this weight because that's all I wanted. So obviously you don't want to only eat bagels, but if that's something you never used to have and now you want it, listen to your body, have the bagel, maybe can you do an egg and cheese on it to have some protein? You might need to experiment to make sure that you're not overdoing it if it was very carb heavy or sugar heavy, for example. Exercise to increase your appetite. Regular exercise may help stimulate your appetite. Ask your doctor whether exercise is safe for you. So that really goes down to if you've had surgery recently, if you are not cleared to exercise yet. Now that it's getting nicer out, it might be easier just to go walking. It would be good for mental and physical health, obviously. So try shakes and instant drink mixes. Nutritional supplement drinks, such as instant breakfast mixes or canned or powdered shakes, can provide a significant amount of calories and require little or no preparation. It may be easier for you to drink rather than eat something. That goes back to the Boost, the Ensure. There's some cleaner options like Orgain. I've also found that Boost has come out with it's almost like an Ensure Clear. It's Boost Soothe. I don't know if anyone's tried it, and they're having this as an issue that they aren't interested in eating. Boost Soothe is a very light drink. It's like a juice, but it's not even that sweet. So I have patients that say that they'll sip on that all day, and that's like their go-to. They rather drink that than water. I haven't, just so you know, I have not seen that in the stores. I know patients can get it on Amazon, and I've gotten it from a rep to give out to patients to try. I think it's peach mint. That's the go-to flavor, which might sound funky, but I tell people that's your nice little cocktail that you can try during the day. And then making your own smoothies. So combine fruits and vegetables with yogurt. You could do ice cream or any milk of your choice to make your own smoothies. This option takes more effort than pre-made smoothies, but it allows you to customize the recipe to your taste and nutritional needs. And like I said, that goes back to, you might be interested in one thing one day and might not be interested in something the next day. Any questions so far? Increasing calories. So during illness, treatment, or recovery, your need for calories and protein may be greater than usual. The following suggestions may help increase the number of calories you consume. So adding butters or oils to food. You can use butter or margarine generously on potatoes, bread, toast, hot cereal, rice, noodles, and vegetables, or even in soups. Putting olive oil or any type of oil on rice, pasta, or vegetables could help as well. Spreading peanut butter or any of the other nut butters contain healthy fats. So you can put that on toast, apple, banana slices, crackers, celery, dipping pretzels in peanut butter. Those are all good options. I personally like to put nut butter in smoothies. It gives it more flavor. It's usually not as sweet, it's more savory and, or I should say salty. And it adds a lot of the protein, so it holds me over longer. You can use croissants or biscuits to make sandwiches, since those are a little bit more calorically dense. Adding powdered creamer or dry milk powder to hot cocoa or milkshakes, hot cereal, gravy sauces, creamed soups or puddings. Add sliced avocado or guacamole to salads and sandwiches. Avocado is great. It's very dense when it comes to its fat content. I tell a lot of patients if they like avocado toast is a great example of something that's easy that you can have as a snack or even a meal, whatever you want to call it. Adding seeds such as sunflower and pumpkin seeds to salads, stir fries, and casseroles. Adding ground flaxseed to yogurt, smoothies, hot cereals, and casseroles. Flaxseed is rich in omega-3 fatty acids. So just a sprinkle of that of calories to your meal without making you feel overly full. So that's a way to get a little extra without feeling like you're adding a lot more to your meal. Top hot cereal with brown sugar or honey or dried fruit, cream or nut butter. You could top your pies, your gelatin or pudding with ice cream or whipped cream. Use fruit canned in heavy syrup, like I said earlier. That's if you're trying to gain weight. I understand some patients might be concerned about sugar, which we can talk a little bit about later. But if you're not eating anything at all, I'm not concerned that you're having a small amount of fruit in heavy syrup when you haven't had anything else all day, if that makes any sense. So you might want to drink beverages that contain calories, like a fruit juice, lemonade, fruit flavored drinks, malt floats, soda pop, Coca-Cola milkshakes, smoothies, or eggnog. And those are just to increase calories. If you're drinking only Coca-Cola all day, then that's not good for you. But I'm just thinking sometimes if you can't drink anything, like I was saying, that Boost Soothe has, I think it's at least 200 or 300 calories, and it's just a juice box, and it has about 10 grams of protein. So that's another option. The one thing with the sodas is bubbles will make you very full. So you want to make sure that if you don't have much of an appetite, either making it a little flat might be better, or just flavoring your water, because the bubbles will make it so you can't then eat the next meal because you're overly full. Increasing protein. Protein is important for growth, health, and repair of your body. Some suggestions might include adding extra meat, poultry, fish, cheese, or beans. Beans meaning pinto, navy, black, kidney, to casseroles, soups, or stews. You can choose a meat salad, which would be like chicken or tuna. I have a lot of patients that will do tuna salad as like a little scoop, and they'll just have that with crackers instead of feeling overwhelmed with a big sandwich. Making your own high protein milk, which would be like 1/4 cup of powdered milk to 1 cup of whole milk, or you could even add 1 cup of powdered milk to 1 quart of whole milk. Use it as a beverage or add it to malts or shakes, or even when you're cooking. And like we said, you can also try the commercial prepared protein supplement. If you have an aversion to meat, or you're trying to limit red meat specifically because of the diagnosis, some other options of where you can get protein would be cheese, cottage cheese, beans, lentils, eggs, fish, poultry, nuts and nut butters, milk, milkshakes, custard, pudding, veggie burgers, but you want to be mindful of looking to see if the veggie burgers have a lot of added soy in there, yogurt, or even quinoa. I find most patients try to limit red meat more than just meat in general because of the diagnosis. Does anyone else have any opinions on that, or what they've been told? No. When it comes to cancer in general, they do say to limit red meat to once a week. I find most patients, if they're going through chemo, they're not in the mood for the red meat anyways. But if you're interested in having regular meat, that's fine. If you wanted to have round turkey, if you wanted to have chicken, I do think that most people lean towards things that are much easier, whether it's like a casserole that might contain like ground meat in it, or it could be the tuna, it could be lentils, eggs, beans, something along those lines.
Jackie, there is a comment from Marie. She said, FYI, with those of us with diabetes, stevia soda, particularly ginger ale, is good to soothe stomach. And then she wrote, I'm not sure. She said she's low fat because of pancreas. I was told to limit red meat after surgery as well as processed meats.
Yes. So processed meats, meaning more of obviously the deli meat, but it could be like the sausage or the cured meats. But typically when it comes to specifically cancer and increasing risk of cancer, it's pertaining to red meat, but that does include pork. I know a lot of people don't think pork is in the red meat family, but when it comes to this conversation, it is. So if you like to eat meat and your significant other or your family eats meat and you need to make dishes that everyone's going to have for dinner, I suggest turkey, chicken. You can have the red meat once a week. You can do fish, or you can do a lot of different vegetarian options, which would be beans or lentils or any other legumes. I don't think I talked too much about soy further on, but the one thing that I said about the vegetarian burgers is monitor the soy that's in there. So soy has a very bad rap for various reasons. There's a lot of research that was done on soy, but it was done on rats, not on people. So they found that soy increases your estrogen level. So if you have breast cancer, it might increase your risk of having breast cancer again, or increase your risk of getting breast cancer to begin with. So what they found is if you eat whole soy items such as tofu, tempeh, edamame, soy milk's a little bit more filtered. But if you eat any of those 4 types of soy, that's actually very good for the cancer. So if you are a vegetarian or you like to eat those things, I encourage it. The soy that's not good for you is the more processed soy. So that would be found in things that should not have soy. For example, I have patients that tell me, oh my gosh, my coffee mate has soy, I had no idea, or their mayo that they've been buying, or specifically veggie burgers, because that usually is soy based. There's a few good brands that don't have any soy at all that I find taste pretty good. So if you guys are interested in that, I can share that with you after. I didn't know if there's any other questions about soy, sugar, meats.
There is a question that says, what about veal?
I would put that still in the red meat.
May I ask, you mentioned the soy products that were good. The solid formed soys, how did you explain that?
So the whole soy items, for example, tofu, tempeh, edamame, and I put soy milk in there, even though it's a little bit more filtered.
Yeah, so if it's filtered, it's not good for you.
Well, the soy milk is okay because it's less filtered than, say, some of the other soy products. But like soy sauce, for example, I always tell people, if you like Asian food and there's soy sauce in there, be mindful if you're getting sushi, dip a little bit in soy sauce, don't drown it.
Yeah, isn't there an alternative to that?
So, well, if you're getting it out, they're going to use soy sauce no matter what. But yes, you could do coconut aminos.
Okay, and
That would
Bragg's,
taste the same.
doesn't Bragg's have something out?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. That's really good to know.
So if that's something that you like to make at home, your family would never know the difference. My husband never knows what I have in the house. I'll do whatever I have that day.
What did you say? I said Bragg's and you said in place of soy sauce?
Coconut aminos.
Yeah.
Be mindful when you go to the store to not grab the liquid aminos, because when I was looking into the Bragg's online, actually last week with a patient, that does have soy. So look for the coconut one. It should say coconut aminos right in front.
Yeah, okay.
Was there another question?
Jackie, we do have someone saying that they would really like to know more about the good veggie burgers. She gets Morningstar Farms spicy black bean burgers, but would love to find the other options.
Hillary's is in Target, Stop and Shop, ShopRite, all of your main places. And that's actually free of the top 8 allergens. There was another brand, I believe it was found from one of my patients in one of the smaller mom and pop organic stores. I want to say something was like Sunshine, and that had like 3 or 4 ingredients, but that was sunflower based. I might have to look into that and get back to you. But Hillary's is a very well-known brand that's out everywhere.
All right. I put that in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so fluids. So try to drink at least 64 ounces or 2 liters of fluid a day, unless your doctor has directed you to limit your fluid intake. Try to choose drinks that contain calories. If sweetened beverages are too sweet, try to flavor water with fruit juices. diluted with water. This goes back to if you need something that's flavored, I have a ton of patients that will add lemon to it. They'll add different fruits. Now that it's getting nice, you could do summery fruits and let it sit in the water to give it some flavor. You could do the Boost Soothe if you're not, sorry, my dog is getting very close to me. I don't know if he's gonna start barking. You could do the Boost Soothe if you need some extra calories. You could also do regular Ensure or Boost, but I do find that that's much heavier. So some patients rather have something lighter if they're going to take a few sips while they're eating something or they're out and about with their other loved ones. Any questions on fluids? Yes.
Let me see, where do I put this so you can see it? Do you know this product?
No.
I get
Do
it
you
at
care
Whole
about that?
Foods. It's electrolytes.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if that's good to take. I mean, I have been taking it, not all the time, but it makes your drink more appealing, the water more appealing, because plain
But
water
it has electrolytes. So would it be similar to like a Gatorade?
without the sugar.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Ensure started to make a electrolyte powder to put into water as well. I don't know how sweet it is. I don't think there's sugar in it, but that's not a bad alternative, especially if you don't think you're getting everything you need.
Yeah.
Where did you find that? In the grocery store?
Whole Foods at the
Okay.
counter, right? As you're checking out, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Right there, your mall.
It's not a
I
bad
love
idea.
it. I just hope it's good, good for me
Yeah.
to take. I think it is.
I think the best thing is when we can do things like this and everyone can give each other ideas of what has worked for one person, it might work for the next.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear. Before I move on to the next slide, I'm going to go and look just a little bit at some of the questions to make sure I have talked about some of them. Someone asked about juicing. I am not a huge advocate for juicing simply because you're losing a lot of the fiber from some of those fruits and vegetables. You're just getting the sugar or the flavor of it. I'd rather you blend it in the smoothie and you're eating the actual fiber of, I don't know, the orange or the celery, whatever it might be. I think that was a big fad for a while. I don't know so much if it's happening now. Boost and Ensure, organic versus not organic. So organic versus not organic, I think it really depends on what you feel that you want to do. I find it also kind of depends on if you're going through treatment. I know a lot of patients will say, I'm going through chemo, I can't have raw fruits and vegetables, but I'm craving a salad and I'm craving, I don't know, strawberries. I am more of a realist in the sense that if you're really craving that and you're not having really anything else throughout the day, or not that much, I should say, then you should listen to your body. So if that's the case, then maybe get the organic lettuce, wash it yourself. Do not get at the restaurant and trust that they're washing the lettuce very well to have the salad that you want. Or you could even get the organic strawberries that are frozen and make it into a smoothie or something like that. And you can still wash things. It's up to you, organic versus not organic. Go ahead.
I think this is really important, and what I've been doing, and I love doing it, is just cooking down your fruits.
Mm-hmm.
You slow cook them and then put them in the fridge and smoothie it up, and they're cooked. You don't have to feel fearful of it being raw. You know, it's beautiful in smoothies.
Well, I was gonna say, I've also told patients you can put it over yogurt and make it more of like that parfait because it's much sweeter, like a dessert.
Exactly, that's what I do every day. And then I zest orange. I hear,
Oh,
I
nice.
don't know, I'm not a god, but this is what I hear, is that orange zest kills cancer cells. So I zest, and it doesn't hurt you, and they're organic orange. I zest that on top of my yogurt with my cooked fruit, and it's a beautiful thing. I do that
That
every
sounds
day.
refreshing.
It is. I just want to share what I know to help anyone. I think it's helping me.
When it comes to going on a neutropenic diet, and neutropenic diet is when you're going through treatment and you can't have anything that's fresh, or you can't have some of those cheeses that you love. I try to explain it to people by saying it's just like when you were pregnant, some of the things you're not supposed to have, like the cheeses, like unpasteurized things. But if you cook it, just like what she was saying, that would kill off if there was a bacteria. If you cook the spinach, I make a turkey enchilada that has a whole bag of spinach in there, but I'm cooking it and then putting it in the oven so that I could have that and then feel like, okay, I had my vegetable, even though it's not in a salad form. Same thing goes for your fruit, like you were just saying. Even cheeses, if you were to have a cheese that you're craving and it's in a recipe that's being cooked, you can still have that. You don't have to be worried about the bacteria. Was there any other questions? No. All right, so the next part is how do I, you guys said you can still see me, right? Okay, so let me see if I can stop sharing my screen so that way I can see that what you see from me. Okay. So I have a bowl. This is my energy bites, and I'll pull up the recipe in just a minute. So what I risk, there's no risk for like increasing cancer or decreasing by any means with stevia, but I know a lot of patients would prefer that over having regular sugar. So you can do something like that. I wouldn't, are you suggesting that over honey?
In place of, yeah, in your tea or coffee.
Oh. Yeah, that's fine. I was gonna say for something like this, I think it might change the flavor. The one thing with any of those alternatives is you sometimes don't know like the aftertaste or how it might affect.
Just wondering if it was healthy or not.
I find that the Pure is better than the Truvia. The Truvia, I couldn't understand why it was changing the taste of my food. The Truvia, I believe, has like a lemon in it, and this does not. And I use the organic Pure, but it does have alcohol in it. So how does that like weigh in as far as being good or bad?
The sugar alcohol?
Yeah.
It's not the best. Like the stevia would be better. Which was the brand that you mentioned? There's the P.
Pure organic.
Can you show it up to your screen? I've never. Oh yeah. Oh, Pure, like pure.
Yeah. Then I also use this one, like for other stuff.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
I can't see it. What's the other one?
It's like what you find in a restaurant, but they don't have this stuff. I carry this in my bag because restaurants don't have it. It's raw stevia.
Okay. I haven't heard of the Paiua one yet. The one thing I will say is any sugar is sugar. Like I know some people will tell me like, oh, honey is better because of the bees and the pollen or versus agave or whatever it might be. They're all still sugar. It's still going to do the same thing, except for the alternative versions that you're mentioning. I haven't seen the Paiua one yet, but I would personally stay away from some of the alcohols. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't think it has any negative effect on the cancer necessarily.
I chose this one. It says non-GMO and organic. That's why I chose this one.
Yeah.
But it does have alcohol in it, but it doesn't have lemon or anything that distorts the flavor of what you're putting it into.
Okay.
And it doesn't impact your sugars either.
That's good. Does anyone have any question when it comes to sugar in general? No. I find most patients are really concerned about sugar to the point where they won't even eat fruit. I don't know if.
I am. I'm very fearful, but I'm not limiting my fruit at all. I think that's the healthiest way to, you can't avoid it. You know,
So I will just tell you, when it comes to sugar, I agree with you. You should have things that are naturally occurring, like fruit, for example. Things that are more refined, like your cake, your cookies, your pies, your ice cream, even a lot of like refined breads or rice, that all will still turn to sugar just like your fruit would. However, when you have too much added sugar or refined sugar in your diet, your weight will go up and the insulin levels in your body will go up. And I think someone mentioned about being diabetic. So this is important. So the sugar in your body, when it starts to increase the insulin, that is what's not good for the cancer. So when you're having your cooked down fruit in your smoothie, that's perfect. If you're adding 4 tablespoons of sugar into your smoothie, that's probably not so good. You know what I mean? Use the fruit as the sweetener.
Is there someone to talk to about diabetes and chemo? Because that is really difficult to deal with together.
I have a few patients that I personally work with. I also have some patients that work with specifically just their diabetic dietitian, because to your point, it is so tedious, and depending on your cancer, even more tedious.
Yeah.
Was there any other questions?
I'll make one more comment. They're now making the, the single serving that you can put in your lunchbox or your little cooler, because I carry a cooler bag with me everywhere. They're now coming, instead of 100% fruit juice, it's now packed in water and stevia. And that one doesn't have an impact on your blood sugar as much.
What is the
That's
product?
interesting.
Del Monte, Dole, they're starting to make like mandarin oranges to have handy. Like if your blood sugar, even though you have diabetes, your blood sugar can still go low. So I have a little cooler bag I carry with me, especially in the summertime. But now they're coming out with, instead of 100% fruit juice, they also have a third option of having it packed in water and stevia.
Good idea to make our own too. That just gave me that idea.
Well, right,
Yeah.
you could make your own, but like I said, if you need something go to, or like I carry a cooler bag with me almost everywhere, that's also an option. I always have things in my cooler bag.
So this part is just questions of anything you guys wanted to hear that you still have questions about, or
Ugh.
I also have the questions that came in before, so I can read off some of those.
Oh, you had brought up this earlier, the smells of things that really turn you off. What turns me off, and maybe, I don't know if this pertains to anything, but the alcohol, the smell of, see, that's diabetic, I'm sorry. The smell of the alcohol when I clean my area to give myself a needle, and even in the hospital when they're giving you chemo, the smell of when they're giving you the needle or whatever, that is so nauseating to me. It's really making my life unbearable, like around the chemo. Like, how do you stop that? How do you shut that scent off?
That's interesting, because that's not even food related. That's like you're saying the swabs, if you were to
Swab, that scent, yeah, it just,
and you have to have those too. It's not like you can avoid those.
like, what do I do? Put a globe around my head, or?
I don't know. That's something that hasn't come up for me before, because usually people ask me about like the smells of specific foods, not the alcohol swabs. But to your point, those are very pungent, and if it's on you, then you can't even avoid it.
No.
Are there any alcohol swabs that don't have a scent to it that you've noticed?
That's a great question. I'm
sure the hospital was going to have whatever they have, but I didn't know if you at home could find something that was different.
They make one with I'm thinking wintergreen, but I'm looking it up.
So unscented alcohol, yeah, it's really not, I feel nauseous now even saying it to you. Ugh.
How do you feel about wintergreen?
It's so funny. It's the only like mint that I can't swallow, but the scent is anything other than alcohol. She has a question.
Jackie, do you want to take, I'm going to stop recording and do you want to take the, do you want to stop the screen share and then we'll go back to gallery so everybody can see?
Yep.